Move on to our top focus story for today and tomorrow. Well, it is the first day of Narendra Modi's China visit. The Prime Minister held summit talks with Chinese President Xi Jinping. In a departure from normal protocol, Chinese President Xi Jinping visited his hometown Xian city to meet Prime Minister Modi, where both the leaders held summit talks. Xi welcomed Modi at the Shanxi Guesthouse as the two leaders shook hands for photographs. Prime Minister appreciated the Chinese president for warmly receiving him outside Beijing. Xi Jinping in return recalled his visit to Ahmedabad in September last year. During the summit talks, Prime Minister Modi and Chinese President discussed a range of issues. India and China are expected to sign 20 business deals worth about 10 billion during Prime Minister Modi's visit. Prime Minister Modi's formal talks with the Chinese leadership will take place in Beijing on Friday. I want to cut across directly to Xian at this point of time. Our managing editor, Rahul Kanwal, is joining me live. Rahul, it's over to you. Well, till now, the kind of visuals that we've been getting, Rahul, clearly haven't got that money shot yet of Narendra Modi, Prime Minister, with Xi Jinping.
It's going to happen very soon. In fact, just a few moments from now, Preeti, here at the Wild Goose Pagoda where we are in Xian. This is indeed a visual spectacle, and we're told that there are 6 scriptures that the Prime Minister will be given. These are by scholars who came over here, studied Buddhism. Those scriptures will be handed over to the Indian Prime Minister. This is the Great Wild Goose Pagoda. It tilts to the west. This was built by a Buddhist monk who we know as Huang Seng. He travelled extensively across India, also travelled to Vadnagar, as the story goes, which is the Prime Minister's hometown, and he came back. This pagoda is made in his honour. There's a big statue of Huang Seng inside and then out on the streets. In fact, Buddhism is becoming more and more popular as a religion here in China over the past few years. There's been a sudden interest, a sudden embrace, a Chinese embrace of Buddhism, where Buddhism goes from just being a religion in Tibet to being a mainstream religion all across the country. That's a good thing for most part, but then some Tibetan activists feel that that really means that their religion is being usurped and their unique identity is being taken away. I want to call Anand Krishnan, my colleague, because the backstory of this great Wild Goose Pagoda is quite fascinating. The story goes that there was apparently a group of monks who were sitting. They didn't have any non-vegetarian meal for the evening, and they prayed to Lord Buddha saying, you know, we need some food. Can you give us some food, please? So there's this is the story, of course. There was apparently a flock of wild geese that was flying in the air, and they dropped dead and they fell down. And the monks were really hurt, and they didn't want it. They didn't want so much death because of them, and they then became vegetarians. So this pagoda has been created at that exact spot where this story is supposed to have happened. Anand has been here earlier, and it looks quite different from the previous times you've been here, Anand.
I mean, it's pretty special to see the entire property with it's usually something that's crowded with tourists and hundreds of Chinese who come. For Chinese Buddhists, actually, this is an extremely important spiritual place. So, I mean, to see it empty and with a little bit of rain, it sort of gives it a very nice ambience.
Outside of Tibet, this is possibly the most important Buddhist monastery in mainland China?
Yeah, I think it's one of the most important Buddhist sites for sure, especially because, I mean, this is the source of Buddhism in China. Because when Xuanzang returned from India, it was here that he actually sat and translated scriptures. So if you had to identify one single point from where Buddhism spread in China, it is from this very location.
But I've been reading a lot of reports in the local media about the sudden spread of the sudden interest in Buddhism in mainland China, outside just of the Tibetan autonomous region. What explains that?
No, I think if you speak to Chinese, especially urban, educated Chinese, I mean, for the last 30, 40 years, they've been so preoccupied with economic development, with getting ahead. So I think for a lot of people, they do feel that there's a void in their lives, and I think they're turning to their roots and Buddhism and spirituality to try and fill that.
And that's really a bridge between India and China. I want to tell our viewers that right behind where we are, coming down the steps where I came down from, and then this area in front is where the Chinese president will take the Indian Prime Minister for a walk. So they're going to be coming in at the gate where we were previously, and then they'll be walking all around the pagoda, in some senses reminding us of what happened when American President Barack Obama walked the Indian Prime Minister around the Martin Luther King Memorial. Now remember, an American president doing so is not I mean, it's not extra past. It is a special gesture, of course, that the American president accompanied the Indian Prime Minister. But the Chinese president has never done anything like this. Xi Jinping is one leader who rarely, if ever, gives any media interviews. He hasn't welcomed any leader outside of Beijing. This is the first time he's brought someone to Xian. The Chinese people we've been speaking to at different levels in their establishment say that really reflects how special she believes that Modi is, and that really is an effort to go out of their way to break protocol. 5 hours, a little more than 5 hours is what these two leaders will be spending with each other, and that hasn't happened with any world leader. And Anand, that again reflects how Modi is being given special treatment. Why is he being given special treatment? Because they're also cribbing simultaneously that since the time we discussed the industrial park, nothing's happened. We want to build a pilot project on the high-speed railway. The railways is saying it's unviable. So we haven't delivered any of what they want, and yet Modi gets VVIP red carpet treatment?
No, I think on the one hand it is that they're reaching out to Modi, but the other thing is also, I think, the power dynamics in China between Xi Jinping and Li Keqiang. Because, I mean, if you look historically, it's been Chinese prime ministers and premiers who have been, having diplomatic dialogues with Indian prime ministers. But what we've seen in the past year, Xi Jinping is someone who's actually exercising authority well beyond what presidents usually do, and beyond matters of the party, and even when it comes to diplomacy. So it's pretty striking that Modi will be spending 6 hours with Xi Jinping today, which has never before happened with an Indian prime minister and a Chinese president. And tomorrow he's going to be spending less than half the time with Premier Li Keqiang. So I think a lot of it also reflects the dynamics within China as well.
They're hoping that man to man, principle to principle, they can sort out what the bureaucracy hasn't been able to. Because remember, both in India and China, especially in India, the China relationship has always been set by those who come predominantly from a national security background, and that people in China believes holds back the level of engagement. We're going to slip into a very quick break. We're reporting this afternoon live from this fabulous Wild Goose Pagoda here in Xian. It's never like this. It's completely been blocked out. There are no tourists. We're amongst the very few people who are here. Just right behind us is where we expect the Indian Prime Minister to walk along with the Chinese President. Let's see what emerges from this from this walk the talk, or as people are joking over here, pagode pe pakoda. We'll tell you more about it when we come back on the other side of what's going to be a very quick break. We're broadcasting live today from Xian.